And I got to do some service cleaning his apartment, and got a taste of what submissiveness is. He actually demanded submissiveness. Somewhere out of the deep depths of my heart, I guess I came a little bit of submissiveness after many, many years of just being the independent person. So this is what created that faith in Srila Prabhupada, that actually we are servants. And so that solved the problem of who we are, where we are, and decided I never was going to leave. And so from then on, it's just been constant service, because he convinced us that we were servants of the servant of the servant. And he was definitely the person to serve, because he had all the answers. And he had the engagement for us, the positive alternative that we didn't have before. I mean, I always thought I was spiritual, but I had no engagement in spiritual life. So Srila Prabhupada was so kind to immediately engage us. I mean, the minute I walked in the temple, can you polish the brass? Can you make a garland? I didn't even know what a garland was. So that's what was so fulfilling. That was the taste, the little nectar that he planted in all of us, is that service to Krishna. And just by being submissive, then you got that nectar. And the more submissive you became, the more dependent you came on Srila Prabhupada, the more nectar you would get. And so that's the most convincing factor that keeps us in the movement, is because Prabhupada has given us so much service to do, and there's still so much more to do. That whole other 50% of our ashram is there waiting for us to do. First of all, he was listening to Krishna book reading. And it was a story when Krishna and Balaram were being naughty and stealing the butter and yogurt. And he was sitting on a bench, no back or anything like that. And he was really relishing what a rascal Krishna and Balaram were. And then it got to the point where they got chastised. And then they passed urine on the floor. And Prabhupada laughed and he leaned back. And I thought, oh no, he's going to fall off the bench. But he really enjoyed that. You could kind of see his connection with Krishna Balaram. There was a cowherd boy there. And then we heard these doors slamming in the parking lot right next door. And he goes, oh, where's everybody going? And they go, they're going on Sankirtan, Prabhupada. He goes, yes. This is Lord Nityananda's movement, going door to door and getting everyone to chant Hare Krishna. And so Prabhupada was so pleased with Sankirtan. That's always sunk very deeply in my heart. That in Los Angeles, he was always encouraging us to go door to door and to get everyone to chant, everyone we meet. And so that has always imbibed me to see that that's the foremost instruction of Srila Prabhupada, is to chant, be happy, and make others happy. And so that's a big engagement for us, our whole lifetime engagement. In India, I was there for the Krishna Balaram opening, and I think the most wonderful part was when we went in procession with Srila Prabhupada down to Vrindavan, and you really felt like, yes, this is our master, our guide, this is the king coming back, bringing all his entourage with him, everything that he's collected, his booty and everything from the West, and with the elephants and the procession and the torches going down to the most unexpected place we could ever imagine, down right in Vrindavan. And just to see Prabhupada marching with his army of soldiers, we felt very, very proud, very fortunate to be with him, be part of his army. And I've always felt like, yes, we're just one of Prabhupada's soldiers. I was actually the person in charge of the lady who put the salt in the Charnamrita. I had given her, she was a little crazy, but I'd given her that duty. And then when Srila Prabhupada said, at the very end of that whole episode, he said, and she should not do that service anymore. And that struck me as a personal instruction to myself, that you really have to use your discrimination in giving important services to people. So that's one thing I learned from that incident. It was like a stab on my part, although I didn't do it, but I was in charge of that person, so we have to be very responsible for Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was so easily pleased by our actions. I remember at the Rath Yatra, the family dog auditorium, he was so pleased with that Rath Yatra. Just looking, I remember him, after he gave his lecture, he looked at all the hippies and all the crazy people in the smoke-filled room and everyone having a good time. And I think that was the time that I saw him most pleased. He looked at the people and he said, this is such a wonderful process. He says, just look, you can dance, for hours, dance and chant. And when you get tired of dancing and chanting, then you take prasadam. He says, this is such a nice process. He says, everyone can be engaged. And he was just so pleased to see everybody engaging in Krishna consciousness. And I was given the responsibility to, or the opportunity, to actually make this little puffed rice knuckle dana. And he had a little decorated container in his office and on his desk. And he would, when kids came up, or anybody, he was so pleased with everybody, so kind. He would just give them a little bit of this puffed rice. So I thought that was such a sweet thing. He was very reciprocal, and he was pleased with what we were doing. And we were pleased just to get a couple little grains of puffed rice from him. And he really encouraged us by showing that whatever you can do for Krishna, he was very satisfied with. And the more we can do, I think, the more we can get satisfied, and I think we could do much more. I think that's the thing that he really struck my heart, is that you can do so much more. Because you could see him, he did more and more and more and more. And his vision of saving the world, sometimes him saving the whole universe, that we should conquer the whole universe, was, a big order for us. And he really wanted us to do that. So we have no excuse for sitting back being lazy. We've got a lot of work to do, even in our old age, to keep up with him.